someone to rely on. Side on, no one on the crayon, stretched as thin as nylon. I'm forcing a smile, treating me like a child, breaking it like a tidal. Something's come over me, and I don't wanna break your trust. Is it so wrong of me that I don't wanna keep us lost? Lost to roses, hanging on, locked between the concepts. Great lake, walked away on yet nothing's quite as sweet as how I felt in you. Self-control, self-control, self-control.
What's up, everyone? Can everyone hear me? Hopefully you guys can and nothing's broken right now. So I was reading the chat as things were going on. You might have seen my face every now and then. Big thing I want you guys to know, try to keep the chat mostly focused on English. Okay? It's nice that you guys get to chat with each other. But let's try to keep it English mainly so whoever can watch can understand. And also so that I can understand and control the chat as well. So good morning, everyone. Good morning, John. Good morning, Adrian. Good morning, Mark. Good morning, Amir. Well, not morning, but afternoon. Good afternoon, Alexandra. Good afternoon, Samuel. We got around 13 people watching right now, which is pretty good. But we are a class of around 20, I think. Let me double check that. So that's a pretty big thing. But the one thing I want you guys to know. Hi, Camilla. Good afternoon. One thing I want you guys to know, if you have anyone in our class that doesn't have this link, you need to let them know to join our YouTube and also to join our Google Classroom. I think I'm missing a few people from our Google Classroom, so if you could let those people know, I'm going to try to reach out to them this week sometime. But if you know anyone for sure that doesn't have access to it because they don't have the code, please give them the code that's on the screen right now. Good afternoon, Mac. Good to have you join us today. As you can see, this live stream is pretty, like, it's almost like instantaneous. Any message you type in your chat right now, in around 2 to 3 seconds, I'll receive it. So it's interactive. I'm trying my best to read your chats, your chat messages and stuff like that. So please, 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 you know, if you have any questions or any thoughts, concerns, whatever it is, just post up here. Hi, Heart. Welcome. So happy that you can join us today. Okay. So let's see. Total. We should have a total of 23 students, but we only have 14 right now. We're missing 10. Almost 10. 9, 10. Good morning, Chris. Good morning. I don't know who Drazzle is. Just clarify me your name, because I asked you to join using your TDSB account if you could, so I can have your name. But it's good to have everyone here. So, if there's any questions, once again, type it in the chat. I'll read it. It comes up in 2-3 seconds. It should be pretty instantaneous. Another big thing is that this video is going to be available at all times. It should be public. I'm going to keep it public for now, until there's any issues. Mainly because I want you to be able to search the YouTube channel. If you subscribe to it, you can search it. You can find my video, and you can do that. Okay. No problem, Russell. Oh, hi, Hans, as well. Since you guys are siblings, yeah, for sure. Why not use Google Meet? The main reason why I don't use Google Meet is because I don't want to have to mute each and every one of you in case some of you are talking, and I don't want to have to see anything. Or the big thing is that, like, whatever happens in your home or whatever's happening in the background, you don't have to worry about that. It should really just be focused on the lesson and what I'm teaching, right? So this is the best way I can communicate with you. And yeah, so that's a good question. Hello, good afternoon, Anna. I don't know if I said hi to you yet. Yeah. So that's the big thing there. And after that point, so our class is hopefully going to be 1 p.m. every day, right? I'm trying to keep it in the afternoon because your class is already in the afternoon anyways. And so we'll try to keep it at 1 p.m. If there's any issues, like if there are other teachers that you have that are trying to take the 1 p.m. slot, let me know who the teacher is. I'll try to get in touch with them, and hopefully we can work a schedule out. I'm hoping to keep you guys at 1 p.m. and then my morning grade 10 applied class is hopefully, a little after that. Okay? All right. Other than that, every day will be a video, but I don't think every day is going to be a lesson. I think one of the days this week, I'm thinking of setting it on Wednesday. Like Wednesday would be like an office hour session where you guys tune in, and if you have any questions, you can ask me real quick in the chat, or like you can be like, oh, on this page, this question, I didn't know how to do it. Can you go over it one more time? And then I'd be happy to. Okay. Hey John. Hey John. Okay. So I think a good amount of people are here. We have 15 people, which is pretty good. So let's get started with that. What about tests and quizzes? Good question. I'm trying to figure out what I want to do for tests. For quizzes, most likely they're going to be multiple choice online. I'll take the responses, and then that'll be it, essentially. So please be on the lookout for Google Classroom for links like that. I'll try to send the link towards Remind as well. But that's probably what's going to happen. It's a trust-based system. I'm hoping that you don't cheat. If you cheat, I technically can't figure out really, right? But it's an honor-based, it's a trust-based system. Try not to cheat. Use your own knowledge if you have to. That kind of idea. All right. I think we're good here. So let's switch over to our document camera over here to make sure we know what we got. I gotta change that chat one. 1 second. I gotta change the settings for that. Where is it? Okay, so you guys should be able to see your chat over there on the side as well. Hopefully that's not too intrusive. I'm trying to make it so that it's not too intrusive, but that should be fine. Okay. If you can't print out the work, don't worry, right? This video is going to be saved. It'll be on my YouTube account. You can search it up. I'll put the link online. So if you need to catch up, just go back to the video and you'll have access to it. So you should be fine, Dante. Good afternoon, Emily. Good to have you join us. All right. So let's go over this stuff. You should already have printed out 3.1, which is our graphing warm-up sheet here. So we stopped right before March break, which was our unit 2, right? That was unit 2. So that's where we ended off. So it's up to us to continue on from here. The good thing about your class is that since we were using a workbook, it wasn't too bad, right? Having a workbook allowed us to kind of follow in pace. So the workbook's all already online. You just have to print out a couple pages every day. I'll tell you which pages, and hopefully you can follow along there. If you can't print out your page, please take a piece of paper right now, take a pen or a pencil, and follow along as best as you can. Okay? Once again, the video is available for you. You can use it. You can watch it whenever you want. If you don't know or didn't understand, go back to the a certain part of the video, and you can rewatch it. Okay? So let's go through. Don't type your answers in the chat just yet. Don't type your answers in chat. But let's warm up. Let's see what we know so far, right? Yeah, that's fine. If your printer ran out of ink, yeah, just try to get ink another time and then write it on paper. So, John took a head start here. So with our coordinates, to remember how to figure out what coordinates are, I look for point A, since that's what I'm looking for here. And I look at the x-axis. Oh, where is it touching my x-axis, which is at the bottom here? Okay, that's my x, and this up here is my y. Okay, my x-axis down here, it's at the number 7. So the first one here is 7. And the reason for that is because all coordinates are written in terms of x comma y. Okay, so all coordinates are written in terms of x comma y. And the y value, we go across until we hit the y-axis, and it's on the y-axis of 8. And so that's going to be 8 here. So let's cover a couple more. We have our b value here, or b point, sorry, not value. And then so going down, we can see our x-axis here is 6, and then our y-axis here is 5. Okay, and you're just figuring out the numbers that way. So you figure out x, you figure out y. Okay, so if you're writing on paper, you can write these down as well. Try the next 4. I'm gonna set around a 30-second timer. Okay, so you have 4 questions that I want you to try solving right now. Okay, so give that a shot. I'll give you a few more seconds. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so you have 30 seconds. Try the 4. Don't type your answer in the chat. Okay, keep it to yourself. I'll give you a chance to write out the answers next time, so that we know who's following what. Okay. So you have 8 seconds. All right, time's up. For your C point, you should have gotten 4-2. For your D point, you should have gotten 2-1. For your E point, you should have gotten 1-4. And for your G point, you should have gotten 7-3. Okay? If you got them all right, type a capital G in the chat. Type a capital G in the chat if you got it all right. Okay, so that way I know who's following along and who's not. Right? Capital G in the chat if you got it all right. And we're good to go. Awesome. We got Adrian, we're good to go. John's good. Chris is good. Anna's good. Russell's good. Mela's good. Perfect. Look at that. Y'all doing freaking fantastic. And it's already been 3 weeks in quarantine. Man, it's a long time. Awesome. Samuel's good. John's good. All right. Mark's good. Dante's good. Perfect. So, I know it's been 3 weeks. Alex is good. Like, we're starting from scratch, right? Thankfully, I'm not assuming that you remember everything from before the March break. We're doing the best as we can to try to, ease you into some things. So today's lesson won't be a full hour. Okay? All right. The next few questions here. Okay? Question 2. What are the coordinates of the origin? Okay? Question, what are the coordinates of the origin? So we have here, well, what does the origin mean in the first place? Well, origin in English just means where it starts, where it begins, like the backstory of something. Like when we talk about origin stories for superheroes, we're talking about their backstory. How did that superhero become to be, right? And so for the origin for our graph here, where does our graph start? Where is our starting point, essentially? And for us, well, our origin starting point would be right there, right? This point right here would be our origin. Where does it start? It starts right there, okay? And that point, our x value is 0, and our y value is 0, okay? So in other words, the origin is a 0, 0 point, okay? So we have 0, 0. So now we can plot these points on the grid. So if you can get the coordinates, you should be able to plot it as well. So we have 4, 6. We have x is 4, y is 6. And we're going to label that L, right? So our second point for M, we have x is 2. We find 2 on the x-axis, and we find 7 on the y. So at 2, and then we go up until 7. And that will be my second point here. And that's going to be M. Okay? And so on and so forth. So I'll do one more. We have 9, 0. So we find 9 on X, which is right here. And then 0 means, well, we don't go up or down. So the point is actually just right here. And that would be N. Okay? So now you have 4 points left. Draw the 4 points if you have it printed out. If you don't have it printed out, just keep going. Okay? If you don't have it printed out, just keep going. So I'll give you another 30 seconds from now. So let's try that. I'll give you more time, don't worry. There we go. So timer's on the clock right there. I'll move it over so you guys can see better. Okay. So 30 seconds. If you've printed it out, please graph it on the coordinates here. Okay. Give you around 20 more seconds. You got 10. Perfect. Okay. For P, 8, 1, you find 8 on the X, 1 on Y. So that's P. Okay. And then for Q, 3, 3. R is 0, 5. So for R, that's the tricky one, right? We have X is 0, so we actually don't move first. And then our 5 up is going to end up here. Okay, so that's going to be our R. And our S, we already went over it. 0, 0 is our origin, which would be that corner point there. Okay, very good. We already have some people typing G in the chat, saying that they got it right. So we're good to go. All right. So this is what your current graph should look like here. This is what you should be able to see. Okay. So hopefully so far we are good to go. Awesome. We got G's coming in. Very good. All right. So let's go downwards to our next section here. Okay. So this graph shows the number of people that visited the Long Island Aquatic Club outdoor pool each day from July 14th to July 27th. So we have our graph here. We have number of people on the y-axis. We have the date in July in the x-axis. And we have our title. Okay. So the questions are on the right side here. How many people were at the pool on each day? So there's our first question there. Okay, how many people were at the pool on each day? So the first day here is July 17th. Okay, so July 17th. So looking here, how many people were at the pool on July 17th? So since we're looking for the date here, we're looking down on the x-axis. We find 17. So 14, 15, 16, 17. So there's our 17th of July. Then we're going to go up until we find a point that matches that July 17th date. Okay? So once we have that point, now we can go, oh, okay, now we can figure out how many people went to the pool. So here, if you have a ruler, it helps more. Where did my ruler go? I have no idea where my ruler went. Oh, that kind of sucks. It's a little bit of an issue, but we'll figure it out. Oh, here it is. Okay, so we went up, we found the 17th. Now we can use a ruler, try to match it horizontally, and we'll see that it touches this point right here. Okay, so I've marked it with a line to show that's where the 17th is, right? That's where that point is saying. That's how many people there are. But do we have a number for that exact number? No. We can't say 30. It's definitely not 30. Because 30 would be on right at that line up there. But it's right below the 30 line. Okay? So we need to make our most educated guess, right? We have to estimate as best as possible. So we can already see, oh, every square is 10. Like this is 10, this is 20, this is 30, this is 40, so on and so forth. So we can assume, well, if this is 20 here, then it's between 20 and 30. That's a pretty logical guess. And because it's a little more than halfway through the square, we can say it's above 25. Right? That would be the best bet. You definitely can't say that this is 23. I don't care how much you argue with me. That's definitely not going to be like a 23 or a 22. right? It would be more logical to say that's higher than 25. So if it's higher than 25 and below 30, maybe I can write maybe around 27 people for my answer here. Okay. So just looking at our question here, right, we can assume, right, on the 17th, since it's above 20, below 30, and it looks above 25, I can assume it's around 27. Okay? Let's try that for the 23rd. So we find 23 here on the date in July. We go up to my point here, and then we match it up and we try to go all the way across. And for me, it hits around here. Okay? So that's the 23rd point. And it hits around above 70 on the left side. Okay? So that's above 70, below 80. And it looks like it's less than 85. So what would be a good number? Type in the chat, what would be a good number? What would be a good estimate for this? Right? What would be a good estimate for this number here? How many people do we have? So we got 72, 73, 74. Got a 71 as well. Careful, Russell. I don't think it's 84, 83 because this line here is 70 and this line up here is 80. So just be careful. I think you meant 74, 73, right? I think that was yeah. 70, 74, 73. I got you. Don't worry. Perfect. So I see a lot of 72, so I will take the 72. Okay, so 72 people. For the others, 73 I will also take. 73 is fine. Okay? 73 is an okay number. So 72, 73 would be acceptable. 71 might be a little too small. 71 I would assume would be a little bit closer to the line. Okay? And 74 would be a little closer to the halfway to the square, right? So we're trying to go, you can clearly see it's a little less than half, right? If you want to argue 74, I'll take it. Definitely not 71. So 72 to 74 is something I'll be okay with. So 72 to 74. That's like a good. You know what you're talking about, and you know what you're trying to find here, estimate here. Okay? Very good. All right. The next two here. We have on what days were each number of people at the pool. Okay, so we're looking at 62 people this time. So instead of looking at the x-axis, we're looking at the y-axis. So first we find out 62. We find 62 on our thing. So we go up 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. There's our 60 line. And then we're going to go a little bit above that. Right? And looking across, oh, there's 2 points here, but it's definitely not this one, right? Because that's above the halfway mark. So that's probably like 67 or something like that. So since we're looking for 62, it should be closer to the line. So this is the point we're looking for here, right? So if that's 62 people, we just have to go down this way to find out what day it is. And that would be on July 26th. Okay. So I'm going to give 2 options here for the next one. Okay. Got your heart loud and clear. So let me bring up 2 choices here. So for question B, part 2, you're looking at 31 people. Okay. Is it either A... Wait, why is it not typing? All right. So we have our 2 possible answers here. I don't know if you guys can see that very well, but so is it A, July 17th, or B, July 14th? Type your answer in chat, A or B. Okay. What should the answer to question B to be? Okay. Perfect. You guys got it. Good. So I'm seeing a lot of B's, which is great. Okay. So we have B as our option. So that was July 14th. So July 14th, we know it has to be B because this one here, the 17th one, is below that 30 line, right? So it's definitely not going to be that 17th one. It's definitely going to be July 14th. Okay. So now the next 2 days here, which day had the highest attendance? Which day had the lowest attendance? Sorry, you can't see that. Let me move up a little bit here. Okay. So which day had the highest attendance? Which day had the lowest attendance? Okay. Don't type your answers in chat yet. Okay. I want you to type it in your chat bar once you have it. Okay. And then press send or enter or whatever it is when I tell you to. Okay. So think carefully. What's the highest attendance? What's the lowest attendance? Don't type it in chat yet. Okay. It's okay, John. Don't worry. Don't type it in chat just yet. Okay. When I say enter or when I say go, you're going to type it. Okay. So just get ready. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Type, go. Send your answers. Send your answers. Which one's highest? Which one's lowest? Okay. All right. So I got the answers going through. We got here the highest majority said July 21st, which would be correct. Okay. July 21st would be the highest, and the lowest would be July 17th. Okay. I saw a few people write down the 23rd as the highest. Okay. It's not the 23rd because this one here is definitely lower in the number of people in comparison to this point up here. Okay. So this point means there's more people. This point's lower than that. So we're looking for the highest in the y value there. Okay. And so it'll be this point here, which is the 21st. All right. Very good. Perfect. Once you have that written down, let's turn to the next page. The next page you're looking for, okay, is this one right here. You should have this page. Okay. Do you need me to zoom in a little closer? Is that what you're asking for? All right, absolutely. I'll zoom in a little closer for you. All right. So I'm just going to have to move the chat a little bit then. Or I might have to get rid of the chat so you can see. Okay. So, example 1. This graph shows the fuel needed by a car owner. How much gas is required to drive 400 kilometers? Okay. How much gas is required to drive 400 kilometers? So, on our chart here, it gives you the amount of fuel required to travel a certain distance. Okay? It's asking for 400 kilometers. Our kilometers, our distance is at the bottom here, which means we're looking for 400, which is this line right here. This is our 400 line. Okay? So, using our ruler, our 400 line matches up right there on that line. Okay? So the 400 line matches right here. And now we need to figure out how much gas that would be, which means we need our volume, which is on the left side. So if we just follow the line all the way across, we hit this point right there, which is our 20 liters. So there's our answer. We need 20 liters of gas. Okay. So we need 20 liters of gas to drive 400 kilometers. Okay. Now for B, how much gas is required to drive 50 kilometers? Okay. So this time, it's asking for 50. Okay. So it's a little bit trickier here. Our 50 kilometers, okay? If this is 100 kilometers here, 50 is exactly half of 100, which means we need to go halfway, which is around this point here. That there would be 50. And you'll notice it's not on a line, and it doesn't have to be. Remember, we're using our best guess, right, to figure out where our halfway point would be for 50, since the 50 is not on the graph. And then that line, or that 50 mark, would be this point right here on that graph. Okay? And then we need to figure out where that would be horizontally. Now comes the tricky part. You have 50 kilometers, but we have no idea how many liters that would be. Like, how am I supposed to figure that out? How do I know what that volume is, right? So the hard part about this here, okay, is that we know that this here is 10, which means this halfway point here would be 5. So the best choice here, right? It's like, it looks like it's almost halfway to 5, which means my best guess would be around how much? How many liters is required to drive 50? Make your best guess. Definitely not 14 or 15. We're under 10. We are under 10 right now, because 10 is right here. Perfect. I'm getting a lot of answers in here. Good. The range if I were to answer the question, I would write the answer to be 3 liters. However, anything between 2 to 4. If you wrote 2, 3, or 4, that's okay. If you wrote 5, it's not quite 5 because 5 is around here, right? So I would take 2 to 4. That would be my choice. Okay? Because we're trying to estimate as best as possible. Okay? So around 2 to 4 would be your best choice here. Okay? So 2 to 4 liters would get you around 50 kilometers. Okay? All right. So the last question here. How far do you think that car owner can drive on 10 liters of gas? It's telling us that it's 10 liters, which means we're not looking at distance anymore. We're looking at volume to start. Okay? So our volume is 10. We find out that it's this point on the graph using our 10. So if you look here, I line up my ruler with 10. If you don't have a ruler, just use any straight edge. Since we're looking at 10 liters here, it touches the line right there on that point. And we look down, and that would be 200 kilometers. Okay, that's 200 kilometers. So 200 kilometers here. And so we can just write our answer to be 200 kilometers. Perfect. Very good, John. So 200 kilometers is what you're looking for this question here. Okay. Very good. So once you have that down, let's go down to the second question here. This is our last question for the day. Don't worry, you're not the one driving. You guys can't drive anyways. You guys aren't 16. So, this year, population of Canada, it asks us to estimate the year that Canada's population was around 30 million. Okay? You'll see that the population here is already in millions. Okay? So we need to find 30 million, which is this line here. We make it follow along. And it hits this point right here. And so what year was 30 million? 1990. Right? We have year 1990. So that's pretty straightforward. Very good. Nice. I'm getting the 1990s in chat. Very good. Very good. For part B, estimate Canada's population in 1980 and 2040. So let's do 1980 first. And then we'll separate it with 2040. Okay. So, 1980, we find the year. Right? Since we're looking at year, we're looking at the bottom first. We go up. It hits this point right here. Okay. And then we look across this way. Okay. And what's the population for that now? So it's right here on this line. Okay. 20, 30, and this point here. So what would be the population here? Not just 25. Oh, there we go. I saw one person be specific. Not just 25, it's 25 million people. Okay? You gotta be specific. 25 million. Right? We have our units here. Right? It tells you that it's in millions. Right? So if it's in millions, you gotta state and show that it's in millions. You can't just say 25. The population of Canada is not 25. We don't have just 25 people living here. Okay, you got 25 million people living here in 1980. Okay, so very clear difference. Okay, so make sure it's definitely not any number that's not 25. If you wrote 26 or 24, not good. And the reason for that is because since 30 and 20 are each on a line, that's exactly halfway, right? So since it's exactly halfway, it has to be 25. There's no other option. So if you wrote 24 or 26, that's technically incorrect for this question. Okay, so just be careful. If you can get exactly 20, like halfway, you should know what that halfway number is. Okay, for 2040, we don't have 2040 here, right? There's no 2040. How are we supposed to guess that? Right? Oh, the code for the class. 1 second, I'll put it up on the screen. All right, the code is on the screen, Chris. You can send that over. Okay. So, we don't have the year 2040 on our graph. That's an issue. But we can use our brains, right? You have a brain, I hope. If you have a galaxy brain, even better. We can try to extend this line like forever, right? Our best guess is that this line keeps going forever and ever and ever. So we have John making an estimate of 49 million. So let's check that out. If this is 2020, 2030 would be somewhere here. And 2040 will be somewhere out here. So since we're looking for 2040, it's way out. It's actually not here. So if we were to guess, if we were to take our best guess and this trend just kept going, I would assume most likely it should be around 55 million people. Okay, nice. Gia got 55, just like me. That was a good guess. Very good. 55 million, maybe around there. If you wrote down 50, or even like 55, 60, 50 would be a little too low. 55 to 60 would be like, oh yeah, that sounds about right. Okay, that's a good guess, and you wouldn't get marks off, right? Because I'm not gonna know for sure because I don't have it graphed out. Right? My best guess is only what I have here. So 55 to 60 million would be my best guess. Right? We don't have 2040 here. So what else am I going to do about it? Okay? And our last point here. What assumptions did we make about the population in 2040? Right? So type in the chat. What are some assumptions? What did we assume when we made this guess? We just guessed that it should be around 55 to 60 million people in the year 2040. But we know that's not fully accurate, right? We don't know the future. That's our best guess. But when we make guesses, we're making some assumptions, right? So what assumptions are we making, right? What are some issues with some of the assumptions that we're making? What are we assuming will be consistent throughout this situation? Give me a couple seconds to think about it, and then we'll talk about it. We'll take it up. Oh, a lot of people are quiet. It's all good. Well, one of the main assumptions we're looking at here, okay? One of the main assumptions we're looking at here is that we are assuming that the same number of babies are being born every year and the same number of people are dying every year. right? And like Adrian said just now, extending the line. If we extend that line, that's the assumption we're making. We are assuming that number one, same number of births, same number of deaths, right? We are assuming that this is true. Every single year, we're assuming that the number of births is the same and the number of deaths are the same. Okay? That's a big assumption. Do you know that it's always going to be the same number of babies every year born in the world or in Canada? No, we don't know that. But that's the only guess we can have. If, like Adrian said, if we want to extend the line, that's going to be our best guess. We have to use the trend that we see and assume that that trend is going to be true. To kind of link it to what's going around in the world, if you look at COVID-19 trends, you might have heard the word exponential a lot, right? Exponential graphs, logarithmic graphs, right? We're tracking these trends. We're tracking, how many people are getting infected and stuff like that, right? And is that a surefire way of understanding or knowing that it's always going to be that way? No. If it's exponential, it's going to assume that it's going to go on forever. But we know, right, like we're doing now with quarantining, social distancing, stuff like that, we can change that, right? But if we don't know, for example, this population, we can only assume from the data that we have, right? We can only assume what we have here. We need to use what we know to make our best guess. And so this would be the assumptions we make. Okay? So that is that. All right? So that was today's lesson. Hopefully everyone was able to follow along. I know some people are lagging a little bit behind because they're not synced up, and that's okay. But it's good. Okay? More, please. I would love to do more. But if you look at the time, it's already almost 1:50, which means we've been doing this around 45 minutes already. And so I don't want to make this longer than an hour. Okay? I don't want to make this longer than an hour, especially because, I don't want to make people fall behind. And I know some people aren't online right now, and I don't want to make it too difficult for people to follow along. A lot of people are asking me for my Twitch. You're not getting my Twitch. That's for sure. Okay. You woke up just for math. Well, if you woke up just for math, Adrian, okay? You woke up just for math. You can look at the Google Classroom, print out your sheets, and you can do some more work on your own. Okay? All right. That's it. If you have any questions, feel free to type it in chat for now. I'll be here for around the next 10 minutes until 2 o'clock. Okay? So I'm going to end the stream now. Okay? If you have any suggestions about the stream, what I could do better for you, or anything like that, please comment on Google Classroom. Send me a message on Remind, and I will take those into consideration. Live streams, yes, Anna. Live streams will be every day at 1 p.m. If there's an issue with other teachers, or there's a conflict, let me know, and I'll talk to that teacher to try to figure it out. But for now, assume it will always be every day at 1 p.m. All right. Awesome. That's it, everyone. Have a good rest of the day. It was good to have everyone here. Okay? And I'll see you tomorrow. Peace out, guys.